Welcome to Davis Build. My name is Leon Davis, and what we're going to be going through today is my 2001 Road Glide. Picked this Road Glide up back in around July of 2024, and got the bike to convert it from a Hell Yeah Brother bike to more of a performance bagger. Now, some of the things that we did were absolutely necessary when I got the bike, but come to find out, I was going to do a big bore kit on it, take it from an 88 cubic inch bike to a 95 cubic inch bike, and took the cylinders off, and sure enough, the rear connecting rod was pretty loose. And went with a 113 inch twin cam and completely new crate motor. So we went down all the way to the frame, everything came off the bike, front end came off, rear wheel, transmission came out, and actually went through, did pretty much everything on the bike you see. So we're gonna go over all that today and explain some of the changes that we made to the bike and why, and then kind of give you a glimpse of all the aftermarket parts that we used, and we even made a couple custom parts for it. So follow along today as we go through this 2001 Road Glide. It's now a 113 cubic inch monster. So let's go. Let's get started. So first off, we're gonna go through the front end. Now, what we did do was actually switched out the whole front end from the standard 2001. It was a 41 millimeter front end to now it's a 48 millimeter front end. And that entailed, we got the Arlen Ness method lower legs. We got geezer trees, so you can see those kind of through here. We'll get a close-up shot. And these are actually Legends fork tubes that are 2 inches over and put cartridges inside it. So that was one of the big upgrades we did to the bike to help with the performance of the bike. It changes the rake slightly. And now we also used the radial mount and switched over to these Yamaha R6 calipers. So dual disc, 11.8 inch. The calipers actually had to be machined down about ½ an inch. And went with a 2019 turbine wheel with an Arlen Ness carbon fiber front fender. On top of all those things that we did, we went ahead and went with a Klockwerks orange ice windshield, changed out the dash, and we went with a MyMachinist Gage relocation plate. And that kind of wraps up the front end. So with a performance bagger, I want to be able to handle, and so the factory front end had air suspension on it and the rear end, and this does not perform well for performance. It's good for long, comfortable rides, but what we want to do with this bike, not really for it. So this bike's going to handle way better, and along with the front end, what we did was we actually put geezer remote reservoir rear shocks on it, 14-inch rear shocks. So we raised the bike up quite a bit, and now the bike has a much more aggressive stance. So as you can see that now, the drivetrain. So this bike came with a Twin Cam 88 engine, and like I said, the engine was wore out when I got the bike. So this now a 113 Ultima engine. The bike had M&M fuel injection, which the M&M fuel injection back then is super hard to tune and not very, well, the Bosch system is way better. So converted over to carburetor. Now we have a 45 millimeter Mikuni on it. We have a Daytona Twin Tech ignition system now to replace the fuel injection system. Made a custom mount for the Mikuni to this late model Screaming Eagle air cleaner. So this is now like this 2019 and up Screaming Eagle air cleaner. But another thing, the bike had true duals on it originally when I got the bike. So took the duals off and now running a 2-into-1 stealth pipe, the stainless pipe here. Super great. Love their pipes. Also a couple parts from Japan that I bought. Moon Eyes Japan sold me the choke bracket for this Mikuni carb, and I got a new idle adjuster screw, and got a cool little Rat Fink idle adjuster screw cap. So some of the stuff that was with the drivetrain as far as the engine goes. Now as far as the transmission goes, it's a 5-speed, it's the original 5-speed, pretty wore out, had about 60,000 miles on it. So went ahead and completely rebuilt the transmission, and while in there, put on a A77 cycles billet trap door to help out that transmission. And then to to get the power to the ground, went ahead and put on a new chain drive conversion kit. So took off the factory belt drive and went to a chain drive. That's some of the things that we did with the drivetrain. And now we'll move on to some of the other aftermarket parts that we used. All right, now we're actually gonna go through some of the custom parts that we put on the bike that I liked, right? So some of the ones you might not have seen before, or you might have heard of, but we're actually gonna go through all the parts that we used. Now, one of the companies I like using is Lucky Dave's, right? So they, same as my initials, Leon Davis. Well, I love their bars and I love their seat design. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure on this Road Glide was I used their Lucky 13 pullback bars and I used their seat. So I went ahead and had them custom make a tuck and roll gripper seat for me for this Road Glide. This thing is super nice, keeps you in the saddle. So when you're trying to do stupid shit on your Harley, Lucky Dave's gripper seat, get you one. Pullback bars are great. They run internal wiring. That's another thing I like, is clean up the handlebars so that everything looks nice and clean. You don't want to have a bunch of wires hanging everywhere if you don't have to. So one of the things that Lucky Dave's always does is they always have internal wiring. So great bars, super heavy duty. Now onto some of the more controls side of things, we went ahead and went with a Brembo RCS 19 master cylinder to power those R6 brakes. You want to be able to stop this bike. So that was one of the reasons why I went with the Brembo. You can't beat them. Now Yamaha used Brembo for years, and on my Dyna, you'll see in another YouTube, I actually used a R6 master cylinder along with the R6 brakes. On this bike, just for the style, and I wanted to be able to have different levers on this bike, and there's not much aftermarket for the Yamaha stuff. So Elite Mototech makes levers for the Brembo. Another thing that they do also is actually will Cerakote the colors. So I wanted to make sure that the levers had a little bit of flash to them, and the orange Cerakoted levers look great on this bike. So I went with a Cerakoted lever for the clutch, and went with their clutch housing too, for the clutch lever mount. Now, some of the other things we did, here's a Power Plant 16 moto style gas cap to fit the look of the bike. The factory gas cap is just a plain plastic piece, so they're expensive, but they are nice pieces in their quality. Moving on with some of the more things on the bike, went with Nasty Hogs crash bars, front and rear. This bike factory did not come with rear crash bars, so if you went down on a crash, saddlebags are gonna get trashed. I wanna make sure we had crash protection on this bike for anything that we're doing. But the factory crash bar is chrome and only has one mounting point, or two mounting points, sorry. And this actually has 4 bolts, which is really nice. When you remove the factory crash bar though, you have to have fairing support. One of the things also that I bought was the Bung King fairing support kit. Super easy to install and gives you a clean look, so you don't have a bunch of bracketry hanging down to support your fairing. It's all hidden away. So it's a really nice kit if you're looking to upgrade your bike, to put crash bars on an early model Road Glide or Street Glide. Check them out, Nasty Hogs, great product. One of the other companies I really like using is Cross Thread Cycles. They make tons of different colors of floorboards and actual pegs for your bike. So went with the orange, regular size floorboards and the mini floorboards on the rear to get rid of the chrome, ugly, hell yeah brother footboards that were on it. Now, still we're gonna be working on getting a new shifter lever and some new shifter pegs and a new shifter linkage, but that'll be in the future. Another thing that we added on this bike was went away with the factory, had the factory big chunky rubber and chrome grips that seems like every bike from the early 2000s and late 90s came with, or people put on their bikes because they saw them at the Harley shop. But one of the grips that I really do love is ODI. They make these Vans grips, super sticky. They have a smaller diameter, so it's good if you have gloves on or things like that. You can still get your hands around the levers, and it feels more comfortable on the grip. One of the things that you'll want to watch for whenever you buy your grips is how they're going to feel when you're riding. They might look cool, but if they don't have function, there's no point. So one of the things that we did do was we went with these these gray grips with like a titanium anodized collar. Looks pretty nice and has great function when it comes to being able to hang onto the bike when you're putting rubber down. When we got the bike all the way down to the frame, why not replace the swing arm bushings? Now, Mad Monkey makes a swing arm bushing kit for these early model road glides, all billet with urethane bushings. So that was a huge improvement for the drivetrain of this bike, to be able to keep the bike straight and on the road and the power to the ground. Those bushings wear out all the time because of a lack of care or just a lot of miles on these bikes. It's one of those things that's deep inside the bike. You got to take the whole swing arm off the frame. And it's a lot of labor to do, but it's well worth it when you get them all back together and the bike's actually riding straight and you're actually able to be able to corner and handle the bike properly. Mad Monkey makes great product. Check them out too. Now, one of the other things, when we went with the Geezer triple trees, the nacelle that was on the factory front end, we did away with it. And MyMachinist makes a really cool Gage relocation plate that goes up in the fairing. So now the gauges are no longer on the triple trees, but they're up where the actual stereo would have went. So completely removed the speakers out of this bike, the radio, all that went with it is all gone now. So all we have is gauges up there, no speakers. So you can't be cruising along listening to AC/DC or ZZ Top anymore. But awesome product, and it fit perfectly. So check out MyMachinist also.